I'm Cathy Bernard. I run a property management and investment firm in Maryland, and I've been doing it a long time. I serve on several boards, and I help with facilities and operations and business. I have an MBA, keeping nonprofits using business principles. I think that's important. Helping people and giving them an opportunity to succeed. In the arts, which is hard to break through, you need a chance to do that. And I've tried to do that. I run a music competition every year for new songwriters, and the whole idea is to give them a chance to become famous. I had young kids, and obviously I wanted to entertain them. Theater spurs creativity, and I wanted to help. Really, it's what the mission of this organization is, which is to help kids. And if you can be helpful to that and spur creativity and involvement, that's the main thing. And I know that they do these galas to get people and to raise money, but it's really to perpetuate the mission of the organization. When the roof was leaking in the theater, and I got Jerry Morinoff, he called me to see what we could do because a show was going to be that afternoon. There was a matinee. And I brought a tarp over and got Jerry and I to go up on the roof and to tarp the roof. It was a monsoon. It wasn't just like a little bit of rain. It was really raining, and he had never done this before. As a property manager, I do all kinds of things, but it was fun in a way. We came down soaking wet, but it wasn't leaking in the theater, and the show has to go on. So whatever the personal cost was to us, it didn't matter because we got the show on without a leak. I've always been impressed by Janet's dedication to the kids and to the imagination and to the creativity. She's brought dance in, she's brought videos in, she's really made children's theater comparable to adult theater, creating creativity for kids, and I think that's really been very important. The value of women in the arts is they bring a different perspective. They care more about the people than the money or the organization, and that human element is really important because when you think about what your audience is and what they want and how you can change them, that's what the art's about, making a difference in somebody's life. Well, I think there's some economic challenges, and I'd like to see them be able to deal with those challenges in a creative way. And I think that they're trying to do that, but there are certain elements that are making that more difficult. So I hope that they can persevere. Well, I think that one effect I've had, besides fixing the roof, was a facilities fee, which has helped us keep the building in good shape. But the main thing was getting the electric paid for this building. When we moved here, we had been basically freeloading off of the county and off of other people and didn't have to pay some of our expenses. In the first year, the bill was $180,000, which was a real problem. And I put our heads together and we went to the council and were turned down. And just because you're turned down doesn't mean you stop. So we went to another committee, a facilities committee, as opposed to an arts committee, and asked them to do it for the sake of the kids. We did a whole guilt trip on them about, we're doing this for kids. And they bought it. And in a good way. And so we circumvented the people that said no, and to get a yes. And heretofore, our electric bill at our theater is paid for by the county, and we're on the county grid. But it caused some problems, and the person that said no wasn't happy about it. And when the next time we went to testify, they said that Bonnie was sucking on a public tit. Well, being on the board was always interesting. The meetings were too early, they were often boring, and we never had enough money. And that was a problem. So you had to think about what the goals were. There was a lot of frustration. The meetings were not the most elevating part of that experience. It was the goal and our mission that was elevating, not the process. I think the high point is that we still exist. That despite odds, despite the economic issues, one of the biggest problems is that people grow out of imagination stage, as opposed to other theaters. Kids grow up. That's what their goal is, to grow up. So you're always, aging out. And, that is an issue that other theaters don't have. So you need to be creative to deal with that issue. That you constantly have different, constituents, different theater goers, and what's going to turn them on a different time. I know when my kids, Barney was the big thing. You don't hear about Barney anymore. Sesame Street, not as popular as it used to be. So things change, and you got to keep up with the change, and you got to stay young. So there's different trends, and you got to keep up with those trends, like what turns you on. Now it's the drag reading, now it's, whatever. So it's like the thing about what the imagination stage does is it's dynamic. The times change, the kids change, the process changes, and keeping up with that change is really important. It keeps you young. Well, I really think motivating kids these days and getting them to do discipline, I think COVID has really changed their attention span, and, keeping them focused, keeping them entertained. I think it's a challenge. It's really a challenge. Keeping that creativity, keeping that alive, doing what's trendy, I guess, at the time is important. Well, I think that people think I make waves, and that's really not the case. I try to keep people to the task, and I try to ask the questions that other people don't ask. And I think that that's an important role to play. And it's to be constructive, not destructive, pointing out issues, bringing that. And I think Janet has been very receptive to that. Asking the tough questions. But, you need to elevate it and, say, hey, what the heck is this about? What can we do? Let's address an issue that might be difficult to address. And I think I play that role.